Oh man, it is so hot here. My man tits are sweating over their man tits. This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am joined by the amazing David Howard Thornton. Whoa!
Something on my face.
David, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just glad I'm not covered in glitter. It's like, oh, that'd have been a bitch to get all that off.
Yeah, it was probably about 2 days of finding glitter in unprecedented areas.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. I know how that goes.
Oh, yeah. David, thanks for joining us. It's such an honor to have you on.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And, you are the actor behind an amazing, iconic character. You've been in a number of films and stage performances. But, of course, everybody knows you as Art the Clown from Terrifier. I watched again the other day, as I mentioned off camera, and oh man, your performance on there, it just sticks with you. It's ever lingering. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you came from and how you got into acting.
Yeah. I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama, of all places. I am a son of a NASA engineer and a former special ed teacher.
Oh, cool.
And so, but they were also very involved in the arts. My mom directed a lot of shows at my church, and my dad was in a lot of those shows as well. And so I basically came out of the womb just involved in theater and music and all that kind of stuff. So cool. That was a natural thing for me as a kid. But I really didn't get into theater until my middle school years, because my mom thought that would be a good way to get me to come out of my shell, because I was bullied a lot in school. And she's like, your classmates need to see this other side of you. And so she encouraged me to audition for our school's production of Mickey's Christmas Carol that year. And I got the role of Mickey Mouse, Bob Cratchit.
Nice.
I was having a great time doing the show, and then things started to go wrong. And instead of being like most kids where they just kind of freeze up when things go wrong on stage, I just started cracking jokes in the moment. And it just, I was just like getting everything back on track and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I love this feeling. Because like here, the first time at that school, I had people laughing with me instead of at me. And I'm like, I'm in control here. I got the power right now. And I have these people in the palm of my hand. I love this feeling. I want to do more of this. And so my mom's like, okay, great. Let's get you involved in doing community theater. Nice. And that's what I started doing. I did a lot of, that's where I cut my teeth in, especially physical comedy. And that's where all this started. And I oddly enough, I didn't go to school to become an actor. I went to college to become an elementary school teacher because I was trying to be practical with my life. I was like, acting's a fun thing, but I don't know if I'll be able to make a career out of this because, it's so uncertain. It's not a stable career path by any means.
Right.
And unfortunately, I lost my mom to cancer while I was in college. And that kind of changed my whole perspective about what I wanted to do with life. And I was in my classroom when I was doing my student teaching, and I was reading stories and doing all the little voices for the characters, and the kids were having fun. And like my mom's final message to me really started to make sense, where she was saying, don't do what you think you have to do with your life.
Okay.
Do what you want to do with your life. You've got certain gifts that you were given. You only get one shot at this. Go out and do what makes you happy. And that's it. All clicked, and I'm like, this is what makes me happy. I need to be an entertainer and not a teacher. And so I finished up my degree and then moved up to New York City and did odd jobs, waiting tables and, auditioning here or there. And slowly and surely over 13 years, was doing off Broadway shows. I actually had, oddly enough, Lady Gaga back in 2007 opened for one of my shows I was doing at a bar. It was before she was Lady Gaga. So it was like when she was just Stephanie playing piano in bars, she was our little warm up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's how I started. And we kept going, and I started, doing voiceover work, and then I started touring with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and
Nice.
I did that for 5 years, and I got off of that, and I was trying to focus on doing more stage work. I want to do more tours and stuff like that. So I was up for like 4 or 5 different Broadway tours, and every single one of those fell through. Like I was in the final callbacks, and something happened every single time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so close to getting something good here. Come on. And I had never done any real film work besides just doing extra background work. And this audition came up for Terrifier on this website called Actors Access. I'd seen All Hallows Eve, so I knew the character, and I loved the character. And they were looking for a tall, skinny guy with physical comedy experience or clowning experience to play Art. And I'm like, oh, this would be great.
Right.
I know this is a low budget independent film, so who knows if anybody's even going to see this thing. But this would be a great way for me to get on-set experience, and this would be great for a demo reel and stuff like that. So, hey, let's do this. And had no idea that would change my life.
Yeah. Oh man, that is awesome.
It's crazy because if I had gotten any of those other Broadway shows, I wouldn't have been able to audition for Terrifier or film Terrifier.
Right.
Everything worked out.
That's awesome. We've got some nice folks chiming in here. Cassidy, you're a natural entertainer.
Thanks, Cassidy.
And Charles is looking forward to seeing you again in Colorado.
Yes, Charles.
Yeah, was a low budget film, but an absolute cult classic.
Yeah, it's crazy. We made the film on $35,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. Yeah, I mentioned off camera, I'd seen it before, gave me nightmares, and I went back and watched it again. Your performance really does stand out because you had to do a lot of physical, conveyances without any, use of dialogue. So, that was really imposing. But also on a technical level, like the filming and the lighting, it's so, incredibly well done.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised to hear about the budget.
Oh yeah, it's none of us got paid much at all, if any. So it was a passion project for all of us, really. It's just like I got next to nothing really compared to what most actors get paid for a movie, because at the time I was non-union as well. So it's like but it's more than made up for itself. It's like, and that's how I looked at it. It's like, this. Yeah, I'm not getting paid a lot, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because this is an awesome role,
right?
And I believed in this. I was like, this is something that could go somewhere. This film has got so much potential. Let's go for it. Yeah, because it's like it's made by horror fans for horror fans.
Yeah,
it's like Damien is like a lifelong horror fan. He's named after Damien from The Omen, so he's watched these films since he was knee high to a grasshopper. So he knows this genre and he loves this genre, and he wanted to get it back to what it used to be instead of like this, just saccharine version that Hollywood's been putting out for this past 20 years or so. It's just like, let's get back to the nitty gritty, no holds barred, balls to the wall slasher films that they used to have in the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, it's definitely that. The violence and gore. It's definitely leaves me squeamish. But
Oh yeah.
that's because I have a sensitive stomach. And but what really carries it for me is just that becoming that iconic character and making it your own. How
Mhm.
When because you auditioned for the role for Art the Clown in Terrifier, but
Right.
obviously it existed in the previous incarnation that Damien also made,
Yes.
All Hallows Eve, which is also a great movie too.
Hmm. It's a
And
great anthology film.
yeah, how did you kind of go about differentiating your performance from what was previously done?
Yeah, because I always want to give as much props as I can to Mike Gianelli, who was original Art the Clown, because I mean he's a guy that originated the role, and
Yeah.
that's what's interesting when you see All Hallows Eve. It's like you see the evolution of the look of the character in that movie, because you have that first look where he just looks basically like a guy, just a painted white face and all that, and then he becomes more demonic looking in later on, because that
Yeah.
like the original short was that was made first, and then Damien made some more things, and they just put all those together into All Hallows Eve. And so that's he created that character, and so it's like that's the first thing I want to do is pay as much respect to what he had done before. So I tried to go back and look at all his stuff that he had done, and I'm like, okay, I like what he's doing. He set a really good foundation for me.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring more of the comedic clown aspect to the character as well, because he's a clown.
Yeah.
We don't want to go full crazy, Cirque du Soleil or Emmett Kelly Jr. type of clown or anything like that. But he still needed to have that kind of edginess to him instead of just being your typical silent killer, just dressed as a clown.
Yeah.
And especially since the makeup I'm wearing lent a lot to expression on my face, because most silent characters are just wearing a mask or something. And it's like, this is something that changes the game. It's like, oh, I can show all ranges of emotion even though I'm not speaking. I can do a lot more with my face, and so I want to do a lot more acting with my face, especially with my eyes. And I loved it. It's like the makeup, it was basic like a second skin, so I was able to just play with it as much as I could with my face, and I wanted to add more physicality to the character. So I definitely tapped into my love, of course, great horror villains. I look at art as basically being a mashup of every single slasher icon that came before him. There's little bits and pieces of all of them, especially Freddy,
Right.
and Jason and Michael Myers. But there's bits of Chucky and Jigsaw and Pinhead and Leatherface and Hannibal Lecter, and God, all of them are inside of art.
Right.
But I coupled that, and I have a huge appreciation because I grew up on the classic comedies. I like my parents and grandparents had me watching like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Laurel and Marty, Marx Brothers, Three Stooges, all that back in the day. My aunt gifted me a box set of Rowan Atkinson's Mr. Bean, so I used to watch those over and over and over and over and over because I love physical comedy.
Yeah.
and I had always wanted to play a Mr. Bean like character.
Okay.
And I was like, when I first saw All Hallows Eve, I was like, oh, I like this character. He has the potential to be very Mr. Bean. He's like a very evil Mr. Bean. He's like, so I was like, oh, that's what I can do with him. So of course I brought a lot of that to it. Of course, a lot of Doug Jones. He's a huge inspiration for me. Now I can actually call him a friend too, because we've met, and he's just the sweetest guy. So he's been like one of those guys I've idolized for decades because like we're so much alike physically. So I was like, I would love to have a career like Doug Jones one day, and who knows? But so I added that, but I also had, going back to my Grinch tour days, my wonderful mentor, who I got to understudy for 5 years, was Stephen Carl. And most people know him as Robbie Rotten from the show Lazy Town.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen was a wonderful physical comedian. He actually was professionally trained in mime work, clowning, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And so he was able to take what I had been trying to perfect myself for years on stage, and he was able to take me aside. It's like, I like what you're doing. Here's how to fine tune all that and make it even better.
Nice.
And so when I stepped into doing, Terrifier, that was basically less than a year after I had done my last tour with Grinch. So that was still fresh in my mind. And I would even sometimes message Stefan because I was like, to get some ideas. I'm like, help me, create this character. What's some things I do? And, it's like, so he was a big influence on what I did with the character. And unfortunately, he passed away from cancer back in 2018. Yeah, but it's like, so it's there's a lot of Stefan in the character. You can probably look at episodes of Lazy Town, his character, and you're like, oh yeah, I can totally see a lot of Robbie Rotten and Art the Clown.
Right. So that's so cool.
So that's how we came to be. It's just a huge mishmash of everything. Just
it seems like just so many components just informed what you were able to do, and with Damien giving you this opportunity, it seems like you guys also from what I understand, you have a fantastic relationship working together. Obviously, Terrifier 2 is coming out, so I can't wait to see where things go from there.
Oh yeah,
escalate.
That's what's been so cool. Is like Damien is like such a actor-friendly director. He's not one of those directors where it's his idea or the highway. He's all about collaboration because he realizes, other people might have some great ideas that can make things even better, and he's willing to hear them. And he didn't know what I was like as an actor when he wrote Terrifier, and so that we would just have moments on set where he was like, I don't know what to do here, like at the cafe scene or the pizzeria. Like when I'm doing the faces, like, why don't I just leave the camera on and you just make a bunch of faces? And I just sat there and just made faces, and he was like, "Oh God, this is fantastic." And so he I think after that he learned to trust my instincts on things. So it's like sometimes he would just let me play, and especially when he wrote part 2, he wrote scenes specifically in there, kind of like the pizzeria scene where. He wrote the bare bones. Is like, okay, we're in this situation and Art plays. And his thing was like, we won't know what we're going to do until we actually get to set. And so I was able to look around at my surroundings and see what I had around me, like prop wise and everything. And I would just sit there and I would come up with a routine. And I'm like, Dame, how does this look? And he's like, cool, let's film it.
That's awesome. It's very Jackie Chan too, figuring out how what found objects in your proximity can be utilized in your performance. That's awesome.
And that's what I like about Art too. He's one of those guys that's like, he uses what's around him too. He's like, he has his bag of tricks, but he's still willing to utilize anything in his environment to his advantage.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Somebody posted on here. Desiree says that creepy smile is the best.
Yeah. Oh, it's that smile, those nasty teeth. Oh my God.
Man. That's one thing that I with the lighting on set and your portrayal, sometimes that smile, that sneer and that grin, you're always contorting. Still with the kind of that demonic prosthetic face of yours, but I also got, it's like, oh my gosh, his mouth is like a void, and sometimes his eyes were just like a void. It's like I don't for me, and that's just me reading into it, but and then to see how almost supernatural it is at the end,
Oh, it's definitely supernatural.
To see the amount of violence that is also done to him, and then not to give anything away, but it's just like, oh wow, it's almost Lovecraftian at that point. Just this unending entity that wants to wreak havoc on everybody in range. Jeez.
I love that you said Lovecraftian, because he is kind of like a Lovecraftian creature in some ways, because I kind of look at it. He's always trying to drive people insane.
Yeah.
And that's really the real story of Terrifier. It's kind of like The Killing Joke, where it's all about how one person, a totally sane, sweet, wonderful person, can have a bad day.
Yeah.
And they go batshit crazy, and that's what happens to Victoria's character in this.
Right.
And that's what art likes, to break people down, not just kill them. He likes to break them down mentally, like drive them just bonkers.
Right. Oh man. Yeah. It's so intense. Brian also pointed out again, back to the smile. That smile makes the audience laugh and get terrified at the same time. I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
It's incredibly uneasy, and you have this like nervous laughter that goes with it. It's like, oh God, what's going to happen?
That's the thing. It's like you end up laughing at things you shouldn't be laughing at,
right.
And it makes you question yourself at times. It's like, I mean, we do that all the time on set. We're laughing hysterically at things we're doing. I'm like, oh my God, what we're doing is so horrible and wrong. Oh my God, what is wrong with us?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get so much hate.
Yeah. It's kind of like a lot of those slasher films kind of remind me of gladiator arena fights,
Mm-hmm.
And even to this day, like boxing matches and stuff. It's like, we're rooting for the other guy to beat the shit out of the other guy,
Yeah, it's a very primal thing.
Yeah, very much so. I think horror films, they definitely kind of bring that out on people.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily it's all fake, and the cast gets to go home at the end of the day, and but the audience gets to kind of live out for that brief glimpse, that little fantasy, and kind of exude that, or kind of let out a little bit of that negative energy and make it positive.
It can be cathartic at times.
Yeah.
It really can be, and it's such an emotional roller coaster it takes you on too, and that's what I really enjoy about both of these films that we've done so far. It's like, boy, we really try to take people on a ride. Right.
Yeah, it definitely is, and especially it takes place all in one night, Halloween night.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's one hell of a night.
Yeah, a very, very bad night.
Yeah. Oh man. Now I know we've been talking a lot about the Terrifier, but you mentioned your touring work on stage with the Grinch, but you've also got a couple other film projects upcoming. Obviously, Terrifier 2, but I saw, I think on IMDb, and I don't know if you can talk about it right now, but Night of the Living Dead 2.
Yeah. I there's not much I can really say about that because they're still writing the script right now.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, yeah. Like last year, I just did a sizzle reel where they dressed me up to be a big, huge, fat zombie. So that was fun. That's not. I don't know if that's the character I'm going to be playing in the movie, but they did that just for the sizzle reel. And God, that was. I had so much fun in that fat suit. Oh my God, it was like. It was insane. It was hilarity. It was just because they had me in the water too. Ooh. So we had to emerge from the ocean. So that was hilarity in itself because the first take went pretty well. But the thing was, this fat suit started taking on water like a sponge.
Yep.
And so
really
the second take, my pants fell down and I didn't realize it. So one of the other zombies goes over and starts pulling up my pants, so I'm still going, coming out of the water. And the third take, I got so heavy that I could not stand up. And so I started getting knocked around by the waves. And so I'm basically just bobbing around in the water on my back like a turtle. And it was just the funniest thing. Oh my God. But I had so much fun doing that. That was like 5-6 hours of intense makeup, but it was totally worth it.
Oh wow, that's awesome. The image of one zombie helping another one keep the pan.
Yeah,
man, it takes a village, even if you're dead.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's like it's too bad we can't show that footage though. It's just like, oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah.
They even got I didn't even realize anybody was taping me. But at one point there were these seagulls eating a clam or something like that, or something on the beach, and I just started walking towards the seagulls, totally in character, and they apparently turned into a small short film because it was like this film of this zombie trying to play with seagulls and they fly away, and I got depressed. I was like, oh. And then I just go back to but I was just shitting around. I was just trying to entertain myself. This is the stuff I do, and I had no idea people were following me with a camera.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my god, that sounds absolutely amazing. Yeah, zombie versus seagull, the fight of the ages.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Charles has a question here. He was asking about Stream.
Oh yeah, Stream. Yeah, that's another film I've been working on with a lot of the Terrifier team. The Fuzz and Lens guys, Michael Levy and Jason Levy and Steve Delasella. They're also in Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Like Michael was the exterminator that I decapitated, and Steve and Jason were the two cops that come in the end. But they've put together a film that we're hoping is going to become a franchise in itself, and it's
cool.
I play one of the killers in it. It's about this family that goes on a getaway to this hotel where this lockdown happens in a hotel, and these killers are let loose in a game type setting, and all kinds of mayhem ensues. So I play one of the killers in it, but it's like a who's who cast of characters too. It's like the cast for this thing's like Jeffrey Combs, Dee Wallace, Danielle Harris, Tony Todd, God, like Daniel Roebuck, Terry Alexander. It goes on, and Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan. It's just a huge cast of characters in this thing. It was nuts being on that set alone. I was like, even scenes I'm not in, like, can I just come and watch?
Right.
Just being able to watch like Jeffrey Combs do his thing, I'm like, oh my god. I'm because that's how I learn. And like I said, I didn't go to school for it. I learned from just watching those that are better than and I learned what they, I'm always just putting things in my mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my god, yes, can I please be on set just to watch Jeffrey work, because he's such a fantastic character actor. And it's like, that was a real treat being able to watch these guys work. And so it's insane being in a film with these people that I grew up watching my whole entire life in films. And I'm like, you mean I get to be in a film with them? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, that sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you hop on set and you yourself just grab a thing of popcorn, just watch them work.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And then you get to see them being just real people too. So it's like, this is so cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds so fun. Yeah. Along with them too, you participate in a lot of conventions, horror conventions, going to meet the fans and interact with the your patrons and supporters. I'd imagine you also, as a fan, you get to meet these people that you grew up with. And clearly now get to work with too.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's like, because I'm such a big geek myself, and I'm glad I have someone like Damien there with me usually at these conventions, because he is so good at icebreakers. I don't want to be that awkward one going, hi, I like your movie. I'm like, oh god, it's so awkward. I like to meet people organically, and he's just so good, because he's like a treasure trove of knowledge when it comes to movies.
Oh, cool.
So he's really good at just getting conversation going. So I'm like, Damien, come with me. Let's meet such and such and so and so. Nice. And it's been insane, because we've gotten to become friends with a lot of these, because that's what I think is really cool about horror conventions. It's like the celebrities are different lot than you see at most other fan conventions. Right. It's like, because the horror celebrities usually all work together so everybody gets to become friends. We're all at the same conventions with each other, so we all get to know each other. So there's a whole camaraderie, and it's also the same goes with the fans as well. There's a relationship between the horror celebrities and the fans, because so many of us hang out at the after parties and stuff like that too. I mean, that's how I've really gotten to know people, like especially like Felissa. Like she oh my god, we've done so much karaoke together. It's like I just adore her. It's like Kane Hodder's another one that's like he hangs out with the fans afterwards, gets drinks with them at the bar and stuff like that. It's just like it's so surreal that these are the people I've gotten to become friends with now. So it's like, oh my god, if you told my like 12-year-old, 13-year-old self, oh yeah, you're just going to be hanging out with Jason Voorhees and different Michael Myers and like Bill Moseley, John, Crypt Keeper, John Crosier, all these guys, like I would be like, yeah, you're full of crap. It's like no, it's like, but yeah, that now it's Bill, Kane, all those guys. And it's like, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's I will agree with all of that when it comes to the horror community. My experience tabling at like Comic Cons and stuff, the audience tends to be hot or cold, but with the horror community, it's always hot. They're always interested in what you're doing. If it's horror related, they want to know. They're really intrigued. And you seem to become like instantaneous friends.
Yeah, it's a very passionate group of people.
Yeah, very much.
They love what they do and they love what they watch, and so it's a great experience. I love doing the conventions. I hope I get to do it till the day I die, just like Sid did. He was. That's what impressed me so much, because I got to know Sid like the last year of his life, because that's when I started doing the conventions. And it's like it was amazing to me. Like a month before he passed away, we're doing a convention July 4th weekend, and it was also his birthday that weekend. And here he is showing up before anybody else did on the floor every single day, and leaving after everybody else did every single day. I tried to beat him to the floor every single morning, and he would always beat me there. And I'm like, oh my god, that's like, it's like at the time we didn't really know what was going on with him, but it's like that showed how just truly dedicated he was to this genre and the fans. It's like that's what he loved doing. He loved being there for the fans and everything like that. And it spoke volumes to me. Like, yeah. This guy's got it. He understands what really matters. It's not he wasn't. I mean, he was not doing too well health wise, and he would still show up at the after party just for a little bit to say hi to people and stuff like that. And it's like he cared, and it showed, and that's why he always had a line. And like he was doing everything for the right reasons. He wasn't one of those people that was just there for the paycheck. He was there because he genuinely cared about the fans and the projects he was working on.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely a model human in terms. This is who we should aspire to be. Somebody that loves what they're doing, loves the people that are involved, and loves the people that appreciate them for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's just a good guy. He was such a good guy.
Yeah. My only run-in with Sid, and Bill Moseley, incidentally, was as an artist. I was tabling, I think, at Zombie Con in Seattle, and I was wood burning a zombie Bambi eating thumper. Wholesome family stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I turn around, and there those two are, just looking through my work, and they're sitting there wanting to chat, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, let me pile you up with, some of my prints. And it's like, I loved you guys, and the last film at that point I saw him in was House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah. So it was just like, oh man, and they're so down to earth and cool.
Oh my gosh. Like Bill is one of the best. It's like, he's one of my favorite people. It's just like, back in 2018, he had contacted me on Twitter, and he had still not seen Terrifier, but he had heard about it. and he knew that we were going to be at a convention together
Yeah.
at Days of the Dead in Chicago. He's like, "Hey, David, I've heard great things about Terrifier. I would love to see it, all that kind of stuff. But I hear we're going to be at a convention together. I'll be sure to come by and say hello." And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Nice.
And I was like, "Okay, he's just being nice and everything." And then I'm setting my table up and everything that on the first day of the convention, and he comes right up to me and say, "Hey, David, Bill." I'm like, "Yes, wow." And I'm like trying not to geek out. It's like, I hear you're new to the conventions and stuff like that. So I just wanted to, welcome you to the convention world and everything. And it's like, since you're new, I want to take you around and introduce you to some of the guys. And so he took me around and introduced me to Kane and like John Crosier and several other celebrities there. It's like, and that meant so much to me, because I was so nervous. I was such an innocent baby at that time. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like, but that just spoke volumes. It's like, he's like, welcome. Because that was one of my big fears going into the conventions. It's like, oh my gosh, how are these guys going to look at myself and Damien? Are they going to be looking down upon us? Like, who the hell did these guys think they are? It's like, we've been here for decades doing this. Who did these amateurs think they are? Yeah. And it was the total opposite. It's like every single one of these legends, as I call them, was so welcoming to us, just so enthusiastic, like welcome. And they're like, they'd all seen Terrifier, and they're just like, welcome, like, thank you for breathing some new life into the genre as well. Yeah. It's like we got some new blood, so welcome to the ranks. And it was unbelievable. They're just so kind, and just like so welcoming. It's just like, that's what I think is so funny. It's like, here these guys play the biggest monsters on screen,
right.
scary, intimidating guys. They're the biggest sweethearts in real life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it's nice that as a professional actor as you are, you're still also such a down to earth, big fan too.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. Brian is also reaffirming too. Horror stars are amazing people. Yeah. It is such a great group compared to regular movie stars, right?
It's true.
And that certainly can be the case. Stephanie's also reaffirming that as well.
I think it's like when you're covered in copious amounts of blood, you kind of don't take yourself nearly as seriously as other people would do. It's like, it's like, are you kidding me? The things I've had to do.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, it's true. The ridiculous things that you find yourself on set, they're in script. It's like, what? Yeah, I got to do this. Great.
I got to wear someone's boobs. What?
All right, lift me up. I guess I'm going in.
Yep. Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah. One things I like to reflect on, going back to like Art the Clown, and kind of that, you as coming in as the second actor to portray him and really make it, your own. There's also, this suggestion of legacy, because you mentioned Kane Hodder. He's probably the most well known of the actors that portrayed Jason on the Friday the 13th movies, and he really made that his signature character. And then you see like even with like Leatherface, there's been another number of actors that have portrayed him, even in the reboots and the prequels and what have you. Do you ever give any thought of like, holy crap, there's this potential of there's the two of us right now. You ever think about doing conventions and scenes with the two actors, with yourself and the previous actor?
Oh, I would love to do that. That's the odd thing is I still have not met Mike. We've chatted a lot online, but we've never met in person, which is funny because like he's one of Damien's best friends, like from his childhood. So he lives close. It's just we've never gotten a chance to meet. And I still want in a future film for him to at least have some kind of cameo somehow.
Yeah.
I would love for that, just make that happen somehow. And I would love to see him come out to conventions. I
Yeah.
think he would do really well. So
Yeah, most definitely. I think that would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Having a couple Art the Clowns, you know. Oh, what's
I mean, you look at Kane and CJ; they do stuff together all the time.
Yeah.
You know, that you have like James Jude Courtney and all those guys. Dick Warlock and all of them that do conventions together too. So you have all the Michael Myers do stuff. So why can't we have some of the arts together?
Right, most definitely. I mean, I think it'd be a lot of fun, and it's really nice. You mentioned that Damien kind of wanted to throw things back in creating this film as a nod to the slashers of the 80s, let's say, and the unique characters that came out of that, and creating that, but doing it for a new generation, because this film, I found it on streaming, as I think a lot of people did. So it's kind of like a whole new format, but it's like, hey, you remember those really unique horror characters, and that tradition kind of goes all the way back to the Universal monsters.
Oh, definitely.
With Frankenstein, like Boris Karloff's is so iconic. Bela Lugosi's Dracula and Lon Chaney's Wolfman and the like, and going all the way to here's Michael Myers and now here's Art the Clown. It's like, wow, these are just iconic characters that you've participated in this tradition. I think that's absolutely stellar. Do you ever kind of think back on that?
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I'm still trying to wrap my brain around, is to be, that people consider me to be in that old art, to be in that echelon of characters. It's like, that's because those are like the superheroes of horror,
right?
When you think of it, it's just like, so it's like, it's to be, those are characters that people remember forever,
right?
It's like it would be amazing if people were talking about art 100 years from now.
I think that's very possible, especially with today's digital medium.
Never know. You never know.
Well, I think we just need to make sure that if there's not already, we need to make sure there's toys made of Art the Clown.
Oh, there are a few. We're getting them. We have the big 1/6 scale of art that was released by Trick or Treat Studios earlier this year, which is amazing. They did a great job on that. But we also have the guys over at Knuckleheads and Twisted that are making some smaller figures as well that should be coming out. They've had supply chain issues, so they've had to delay those a little bit, unfortunately. But they're coming out too, so it's exciting. We're hoping, once part 2 comes out, that there's going to be a lot more fire under people's butts to do even more merchandising that way. So it's like, you never know. It's like, I look at back in the day, like with Freddy, it took a few films for him, but then all of a sudden you saw Freddy merchandise everywhere. I remember just going to Shoe Carnival as a kid and seeing Freddy merchandise in the Shoe Carnival.
Oh,
I'm like, that's kind of how I first knew about Freddy Krueger. It was just things in stores. I'm like, who is this guy? He's freaky looking. Yeah. And then I didn't know about the first 2 or 3 movies until later on. Then that's like when part 4 came out, because I still remember the movie trailer with the claw under the sand, kind of like a shark fin going through the sand. I'm like, this is crazy. And that they had him like they would even have him on Nickelodeon shows. I remember like there was a show called Don't Just Sit There, and they had him as a guest on there. And I'm like, this is crazy.
So bonkers. Yeah, at that point, you realize that you kind of hit the cultural zeitgeist, and it becomes kind of ever present in everybody's consciousness. It's
Yeah.
fun. Thinking back on something like Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like I just remember that was a movie that my mom said I couldn't watch, so I made her watched it. As one should.
Oh God, because it's so good. It
Yeah.
is so good. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I think Freddy is the best horror villain ever created. He's a perfect character.
Cool.
So you can't do better than that because he's got the charisma and the charm. He's scary
Right.
as hell.
Right.
But there's also infinite possibilities with the character because most of what he does is in the dream world. So you can do whatever you can come up with any kind of crazy situation and you can just do it because it's a dream.
Right.
But there's also that whole concept, like unlike Leatherface and Chucky and Michael Myers and Jason and all those guys, you can just get in the car and escape them.
Yeah.
Get the heck out of Dodge. Freddy, he's in your head.
Yep.
Yeah. You have to go to sleep at some point. And that's where he'll get you. That's horrifying that you can't escape this guy.
Very much so. I'm surprised I didn't use them for like Inception or something. I was like,
oh my God.
That they totally
oh my God.
That. Hey,
that would have been insane.
Yeah, David, we've just got a few more minutes left.
Oh.
We do have a few folks that I have a feeling they will be LOL. Art is 100% unforgettable.
That's my hope. That is my hope.
Oh,
thank you.
I definitely agree with that assessment. Can you just kind of two questions to kind of wrap things up. Can you tell us anything about Terrifier 2? And then, is there any film roles or what's your ideal film role that you would like to do in the future?
I'll start with that one. My ideal film role was definitely the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
I got to play him on a YouTube fan series years ago, and I've evolved the character even since then. And I would really love, because I just love that character so much. He's my favorite villain of all time. But I'd not really like to do him on film. I'd really prefer to do him on a TV series. That way I could have more time with the character instead of just a 2-hour movie. I could really take my time over seasons of a show because there's so much to him I would love to explore. And I want to do it justice. I want to do it the comic book version. I don't want Hollywood keeps trying to do new things with them that just aren't comic accurate. Like, no, just keep it like what it used to be. Why he has, sustained for 80 plus years. There's a reason. Keep true to that. You'll have an amazing product. And that's what I want to do with him. So, knock on wood on all that. But, as for Terrifier 2, geez. You talked about supernatural, so there definitely is. We fully address the supernatural aspect of the character in this right from the get-go. We start from where the first film left off, so you might find out what happens to that coroner. Ooh. So and then it goes crazy after that. So it's right now it's clocking it at about 2 hours and 18 minutes. So it's a beast of a film. That's very unnatural for a slasher. Yeah. But we have so much in it. It's just we went crazy with it. We threw everything we had into this one. And we actually had basically a 3-hour film, and Damien had to cut it down to this. And he couldn't cut down anymore. We'll be losing major plot points and really cool kills and stuff. We can't do that. Right. So we're like, well, we're at a time where people are used to, 3-hour long Marvel movies. So, and you look at this last season of Stranger Things, the last episode was over 2.5 hours long. Right. So people can, as long as you keep people entertained. Yeah. That's the thing. And this is not a boring film in the least. Yeah. It's not like, one of those other 2+ hour movies like the A24 films that are heavy on dialogue and light on action. This is basically heavy on action, light on dialogue, but there is a lot more story this time. I will say that. And it's all centered around Sienna, our new heroine. Okay. We're basically building her up to be the Batman to Art's Joker. Oh, wow. So this is really her origin story in a lot of ways, like with her and her family. and you see how she and Art come to heads with each other. But I don't want you to think it's just going to be her story.
Yeah.
Art is front and center the whole entire time. He's not just showing up for 15 minutes. So it's like you have two stories going on, and then they collide at one point. And once that happens, oh boy, hold on to your butts, because I will say the last third of the film is just a roller coaster ride and does not let up. Kind of like the first two Child's Play movies, where you get to that third act and just does not stop until credits roll, and even after the credits, maybe.
Yeah.
So you might want to stay tuned after the credits.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're setting up your own film universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we got ideas for part 3, so we fully intend to do more with this character, because there's so much potential with him, and we love him so much. I love this character. He's fun. He's like I said, evil Mr. Bean, evil Bugs Bunny, even in a lot of ways, because I kind of look at him as being like the Bugs Bunny of the horror world.
I can see that. He's very animated. I mean, he's painted these, so. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, David. Thanks again for coming on, and
you're welcome.
For everybody out there, David will be appearing at Colorado Festival of Horror, September 9th through the 11th.
Yes.
Come on out to Denver. Go get your tickets at cofestivalofhorror.com. And come meet Art the Clown, and of course, Damien's going to be joining you too.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And we might be able to talk a little bit about more of the film then. Who knows? It's like, hopefully we'll have a new trailer out by then.
Oh, so, that'll be exciting.
And I will leave y'all with one more thing. There is a kill scene in this that I think is going to rival the hacksaw scene.
Oh shit!
And in viciousness. And I will say, it's not a short scene.
Oh geez. Well, for a movie that's so far like 2 hours and 18 minutes or so, it's
There's a reason it's a 2 hour and 18-minute movie. Art takes his time with his kills. He likes, and especially in this scene, might be about 5 minutes or so of me just going to town.
Oh geez. Oh dear. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We see it. Don't tell us anymore.
Oh, I won't. It's hard. Oh my God, so hard. I can't wait.
Oh, David, thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Stick around for a few minutes after we sign off. But again, sir, thank you for being so generous with your time and talking about your craft.
Thank you, and thank you all for your support, and can't wait to see you all soon in Colorado. Yes,
most definitely. It'll be a blast. And for everybody that tuned in, thanks so much for tuning in and asking David questions and stuff. And of course, to our sponsors, to Mutiny Information Cafe, if you're going to start a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. And of course, our friends at Hellfire Entertainment, thanks for rebroadcasting us out on your social media. And of course, Groovy TV. And to Alien Donut Films, thanks for supporting us, to Angela and Bill over there. And, of course, to my producers, Stephen Santa Cruz and Amanda Armstrong, thanks so much. And to everybody who continues to support the horror community, be good, be kind, help each other out during these tough times. And we will see you at the Colorado Festival of Horror. And stay spooky, everybody. Have a good night.